There we go.
Finally.
It all worked out.
It all worked out. So, just since we're doing this on Facebook, and this will be transferred over later. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Walking David. This is Catching Up Week, or Weekly Catch Up, with me, David Grayson, and my best friend, Alec Brown. There he is.
Yeah.
Now, you might be saying to yourself, hey, Alec looks more dapper than usual, and that's because he got a haircut.
Yeah. Now I bought a new set of clippers.
Oh, did you do it yourself?
What? Yeah.
Did you?
I got legit ones.
Oh, nice one. What kind did you get? Was it like Gillette?
No, it's a wall. Here, I'll grab it.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
This bastard.
Oh, nice. Does it do like different levels, like 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's an actual set for cutting hair and shit.
Yeah, it's a lot better than the other one. I can already.
Oh yeah. one pass, just one go, and it comes off.
That's good. You got kind of a kingpin look going right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good look though.
Does that mean I get to beat you up? I get to be secretly strong even though I'm fat?
Yeah, you get to be secretly 2% body fat. It's just,
I know,
you grew up on a farm, so that's how it goes.
That's how that works. 2% body fat. You're just, you're an incredible Hulk.
Yeah, if you grow up as a fat kid and your dad shames you all the time, you end up becoming kingpin and being a fine lover of art and socially inept at talking to women, unless if you buy their art.
So,
I'm the hero Gotham needs. And I don't know how he talks.
You weren't that far off. Vincent D'Onofrio, which I believe that's who it is.
Yeah.
He's pretty much talks like that. He's like, well, Mr. Daredevil, I don't think that we can keep doing this forever.
I know, he literally does that a few times.
He does that
in the show where he goes, like harumph harumph. Like he's basically like a modern day Scrooge in the show. But he's got, what's great is that here's his fighting style. His fighting style is this. One sec. He's like, come here, you. Come here.
But hey, that's the fighting style of our ancestors.
He only throws haymakers. There's no such thing as a jab or a stomach punch.
He's got that 2% body fat to build momentum.
It's like the Flash running.
He's fighting like a gorilla, man.
Squiddly diddly. There you go.
Squiddly diddly. Okay, so it is actually kind of good that we're not directly streaming on YouTube, because I had some questions.
Okay.
So, David, Mr. Grayson, so you do YouTube stuff, right?
Some might say that.
So, I felt it was prudent for public safety to ask you a couple of questions in lieu of the YouTuber shooting.
In lieu of the YouTuber shooting? Now,
yeah, that crazy bitch that shot up YouTube headquarters.
A person did that?
Yeah.
Man, not having your TV plugged in really leaves you out of the loop. So, briefly for me, besides what you already said, what happened with the YouTube shooting?
Now, there isn't a ton of information yet, but essentially what it is that, YouTube is doing the big adpocalypse and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, for this girl, they cut, she was losing, ad money on her videos.
Mm-hmm.
And so she wigged out and started shooting at you. She shot up, she went to YouTube, they call it the fucking campus, but fuck them.
Yeah.
It's one of their offices. And she went and shot it up and hurt a bunch of people. I don't think anyone died, though.
Well, good for them.
Tells, women going on a shooting raid, no one dies. I'm not saying anything, but I'm saying things.
Do you think someone dropped her off from a helicopter on the way there, and they were like, "Okay, honey, it's just me and you."
No,
And then he went, "Ah!"
But so, we need to ask some questions here.
Sure.
We need some questions in order to find out if you are a potential YouTube shooter as well. Hold on, I'm going to adjust the brightness on this thing.
This is hard-hitting stuff from Alec Brown. This is the below-the-belt segment from Alec Brown.
So, question number 1.
I quit this interview.
You can't. It's too late. It's already happening.
Tell me where I'm wrong.
Question number 1. Have you become vegan yet?
Yet?
Well, you're in California.
No. I think vegans are a waste of space.
Okay. Well, that's a good one. That's a good first one. Because this could have gone south really fast.
Still a lot of time and the stream left.
So, question number 2. Do you have a YouTube channel?
Fuck, I do.
You're fucked. You're fucked.
Oh, Jesus.
You're fucked. You're gonna go insane. It's like, you're like, fucking, what's that mobster? He got syphilis and it rotted his brain.
What?
That happened. That's real. What's the big mobsters in Chicago?
Capone.
Capone. I kept hearing Al.
Is that really it?
Yeah. No,
oh my god, that was just a bullshit guess.
Syphilis and it rotted his brain. No, see, in my head, I remember, like, Al as the first part of it, but instead of Capone, my brain was saying Pacino. I was like, Al Pacino ain't dead, though.
Al Pacino's not dead, is he?
No, he's not dead, but he might have syphilis. We don't know. He could.
Could easily have syphilis. I don't put it past him. She had a great ass.
The
All right,
70s
anyway.
were a wild time. So, number 3. When the next big earthquake happens and California begins to sink into the sea, will you honorably play your violin into the water, or will you be like Billy Zane and get on a boat?
Billy Zane.
The bad guy from Titanic.
Yeah.
He gets on a boat.
Yeah, I know.
To go to safety.
I'm not saying Billy Zane ? I'm saying I would be Billy Zane.
Well, fuck off.
Oh, am I supposed to say I would happily play the violin?
Are women or children? Because they're the first ones to get in the boat, and there ain't.
Let's be frank, Alec. Let's be frank. If I was a musician and the Titanic started sinking, I would get quickly overwhelmed with the situation, and I would forget what song we were playing. So I might as well leave.
Well, this is why you don't.
I'll see myself out
this
onto
is why
this
you
boat.
don't play music, and instead you act.
That's exactly right.
Act your way into the ocean. You can't.
You can't just mouth hug your way into the ocean.
Exactly. You can't, There's only 3 actors in the world that can act their way out of drowning.
Michael Cera.
No.
Wait a second.
Number 1, Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling, he could stare at it until it recedes it back.
He has so little. He'll pull the Blade Runner and have so little charisma that the water won't even want to be around him.
It starts to go to high tide. It's like, oh shit!
It pushes him to land.
All right, we got 2 more left. I think Morgan Freeman, because he controls the universal narrative, literally. So he's just like, and the water never came in again. And then it just doesn't.
That is true. But Morgan Freeman doesn't live in California, I don't think.
He doesn't need to live in California. California is wherever he says it is.
So then the next one. I mean, there's so many actors that would just take the opportunity to, incorporate it into their acting role. So, I mean, that's the tough part.
I'm tempted to say Sean Penn, but that's just, I feel like he would just be like he would just stare at the ocean. He'd go, "Is that my daughter in there?"
Because DiCaprio, he would just jump in the water. It's like he's going for Oscar #2.
I am the shape of water. I am a fish man. Shoot me in the gill.
DiCaprio just screams his way into the ocean once and for all.
Wow, he did a really great job, you guys, of really acting like he was swimming.
So, what have you been up to as far as...
Well, I've been dealing with a shit work schedule where for the last week I haven't been put on the schedule, and they keep telling me, "Oh, when somebody calls in sick, we'll put you on," which is their basically way of saying we're not going to give you any hours at all. Mm-hmm. And then the main woman who runs the Cantor's Deli, she's just all over the place. She's out of her mind, and she asked me the other day. She goes, "Do you want to be a busser?" And I go, "No, I'm in the middle of eating, by the way. I'm eating there as a customer. I'm in the middle of eating a grapefruit. So I have a mouthful of grapefruit." And so I'm going to go, "No." And she's like, "Well, I'm about to fire the other guy." I'm like, "What a sales pitch. Hey, do you want a job? Because I'm about to fire the dude who you're going to have the job of now." It's like, so what, I get to be fired next? Fuck that. And also, it's a $4.50 drop in pay per hour.
Yeah.
I'm like, this job isn't worth driving 30 minutes for $8 an hour.
Yeah, well, especially in California, that's not even livable.
No, of course not. Yeah, some of these other guys might do it, if they're, I don't know, if they live with 8 people in their house, but I can't do it.
That's what I was thinking too. It's like an apartment full of 8 people.
Yeah, but other than that, I'm surprised that a lot more of these waiters don't room together and stuff. They really don't. And servers are the only people who can sort of make money there. Even though they only get paid $8 an hour too, they will make so much in tips. I mean, they have to make over $100 a day in tips. Over.
Yeah.
I mean, easily. And I'm sure they make up for it. I'm sure they live in an apartment that costs $3,500 a month or something that immediately redacts all their hard work. But if they were living in Oklahoma making that kind of money, they'd be like the, richest person on the block. So,
yeah.
But other than that, the other thing that I've been doing is yesterday I took Drama in to go get surgery on his right ear because he had a growth the size of a marble.
Yeah.
On his right ear. And it was seriously the size of my thumbnail. And it was sticking out that much. And it literally just looked like a fur-covered marble on his ear. And I wasn't sure what it was. And I know they needed to get shots and everything for him. Went to this vet, dude. I'm not even kidding. Guess how much this surgery and all the shit that they did cost?
$4,000.
What'd you say? Oh, fuck. If that's how much it costs, I would just be like, you could be a sick dog. But it was $1,500. Okay. Wait, over 4,000. If it was 4,000, I'd have to move back home right now. It's yeah, I would be telling you from your apartment right behind you that it was $4,000.
Yeah, it's that dog surgery, man.
Man, dog surgery. It's as much as me getting a bullet removed from my stomach. I mean, it's as much as it would cost a person. And you're kind of just because we give pets the same kind of antibiotics and stuff a lot of the time that we give to people do we really have to make it that expensive? Could you not just do it cheaper? Because people would buy more dogs and you would get more patients if you didn't cost so much to take care of a dog. You know?
Yeah. Well, see, and that's the thing too. Is it's like you're lucky that Drama is essentially a mixed breed and stuff.
Oh yeah, because like full breeds have problems, don't they?
Yeah, the more purebred a dog, like the more horrific medical problems they get, and then it's like, I mean, that's kind of where my $4,000 number came from. But it's like, I mean, for like a lot of like wiener dogs.
Oh God, those have so
Wiener
many
dogs
problems.
have to have back surgery in their lifetime.
We're both doing the same thing, by the
I
way.
know.
We're both doing the Shane, the mask you something, Rick.
But wiener dogs have to have back surgery in their life, and that surgery costs like $2,000-$3,000, and the dog just might die anyway. Like,
yeah,
there's no guarantee.
Honestly, the dog that lives the longest is the worst dog out there, and it's the Chihuahua. They live to be like 21 or 22 years old, but they are ugly, they are small, they have fucked up little claws, and it's like, what is good about that? I don't know why people find them appealing. I don't find pugs appealing. They're called pugs. It's almost like a pig.
Here's a fun bit of Alec Brown history time, which I'm going to get to more history later. But it is a weird irony that like Chihuahuas are now like completely associated with like Mexican Hispanic, culture.
Yeah.
Because the point of the Chihuahua is essentially bred when the Spanish were conquering Mexico. And they would put these little dogs stationed, they would just kind of plop them around in a fort and stuff. Because when, Indians and stuff would try and sneak to the camp or fort, these dogs would freak out and be really loud and obnoxious.
What a great piece of trivia. That makes a lot of sense, but it's also like, wow, so they were meant to be annoying the whole time.
Yeah, that's where bulldogs are also wall dogs. Essentially, you had bulldogs stationed in sections of wall.
Interesting.
Because if guys try and hop over the wall, you've got like a bulldog, it'll latch onto their leg and then it won't let go.
Well,
bear trap.
Those sneaky bastards, those Spaniards, and those Brits. Let's briefly talk about Kyle's promotion. Alec's brother, another one of my best friends, but Alec's brother, Kyle, he got a promotion at a different hotel, a different chain altogether, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's a Marriott property.
That's great. So how did they hear about him? Did they just kind of look for people who were qualified and he was on a list, or?
Well, essentially, he had given his resume to a gal that works in the company, like way earlier, you know? And so my general Alec Brown conspiracy theory is that she specifically went and scalped him and like told Amish, like, hey, make sure he applies for this job. Because based on what we know is that Kyle's GM at this hotel is someone who's not been a GM for very long, like, either.
Yeah, and sorry, just 1 second. I'm getting like scratchy noise on your. Is your mic touching your?
It's touching whatever I want it to touch. It's touching what I want it to touch.
So the GM, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so essentially it's just like she ain't been a manager long either. So that's the general theory I have. But yeah, he's managing another hotel.
Yeah, and he's like the front desk manager, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's good, because we were wanting him to, get a promotion for a long time, and we were kind of expecting him to, at least. I mean, it's after a certain period of time of you being at a company, if you're not getting a significant raise or you're not getting a promotion, it's kind of like, well, what's going on? Clearly I'm not doing my job bad enough to warrant being let go. So if I'm doing well enough to keep it, why am I not doing well enough to go higher?
Yeah.
And it's seemingly Kyle was doing everything right. He was handling all the situations, and that came up pretty gracefully. He was doing his time. He didn't miss work a shit ton of times. He showed up. So I'm glad that he finally got a promotion. Now we just have to get you a promotion.
Well, I mean, who could not want to be a maintenance man? That's the dream.
Is it?
That's the dream.
What we need to do is we need to have you become the maintenance man for a film set, to where they're like, oh, this light broke and we need to get you to fix it. You need to be the electrician on a film set, Alec. You need to be moving D-boxes, you need to be folding cables, and fiddle fucking around with production design.
Or just break things so that I have to fix them.
Or that. People do that as well. You'll be Cisco in no time.
You just hide a BB gun under your sleeve, and you
mean
shoot it.
Like blood debts? Are you gonna have a little Derringer that comes out?
Yeah.
And just
but essentially, more like Spider-Man. So it's like I just aim at a light and I'm just like, shoot the light bulb out, and they're like, another one? How does this keep happening?
I don't want to hear it.
It's perfect. It's the perfect crime.
Perfect crime.
Because then I can dispose of the evidence while I'm changing the light bulb. And I can reuse the BB pellet.
No, what you need to start doing is you need to start becoming an expert at hiding evidence inside of light bulbs. So someone's like, where's that piece of skin for the fingerprint? And you're like, I don't know. But it's actually inside a 60-watt light bulb.
So what you're saying is I need to frame the actors on set for crimes so that I can get their parts.
That's one way of thinking of things.
That's the way to do it. We figured it out. That's how we're breaking into this business. We're gonna frame actors on set.
I don't see how this could go wrong. So
it's
I condone it.
Like for example, we'll go to Georgia. All right.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna go to Georgia, and we're gonna find that big studio.
Mm-hmm.
Where they film the movie, where they're filming Age of Infinity Wars Part 2.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna start a fire. And then the fire marshal is going to investigate. And he's going to be like, well, the blaze was started by someone didn't put out their marijuana drugs. And then the marijuana drugs ignited the tinder, and mixed in with the tinder is the wallet of Chris Evans.
It mixed in with the tinder?
Well, it's essentially his wallet's laying there next to where the fire started.
Oh, legal tinder.
Well, I was thinking more like the doobie land. No. The joint lands on a bit of insulation or something.
Oh, so kindling. Like kindling.
Yeah. So next to that is Chris Evans' wallet, put two and two together. He dropped his wallet while he was doing drugs, and it started the fire. And then he's out of the project, and then they're like, well, we need to replace him, stat.
They go, wait a minute, who is in our immediate vicinity?
Exactly.
It cuts.
That's how
They don't go through casting or lawyers.
No,
they swivel
no.
their head to the right, and they see you with a bucket and a mop.
Exactly.
And you're going, I took an acting class once or two, and then they're like,
Exactly. That's the way it works. It works that way. I'm just to hammer it home. I'm already wearing green. You know, I'm wearing like head to toe green, and they're like, "Wow, we could just CGI on top of him."
I thought you were gonna say I already have a shield.
I have that too. It's in the mop bucket.
Oh, it's in the mop bucket.
Exactly. It's
hey, what's
perfect.
that? What's dripping all the water on the floor? Well, I can't get the mop in there properly with my shield in there.
It's perfect. It's the perfect crime.
And then they cut.
It is literally, you cannot poke a hole in this. You can't. You factually can't poke a hole in this.
Why would I ever want to poke a hole in this theory? I want to see this theory play out.
It's not a theory, it's fact. Like how the
I'm going
Earth
to cut
is
this
flat.
clip out, by the way, and this is going to be a special clip all its own on how Alec becomes Captain America.
Yeah, it's the perfect crime. It's going to happen. I've seen it happen many times. Many times.
Hey, I can just... I love the scene that you painted. That's how it's going to be. It's just going to be you. It's like, oh no, Chris Evans. He's vomiting all over the floor. He can't perform. It just cuts to...
I acted once.
I believe that you're like the guy on the Law and Order who's like moving boxes. Like, yeah, Captain America, never heard of him. You're like,
it's the way it's going to happen. I'm telling you.
the world is changing.
I mean, hey, you know, I wasn't going to tell you because it's actually, you know, a secret shame of mine. But that's how I lost the part to play Thanos. You know?
To a janitor?
Well, what's his name? The guy who's playing him now.
Oh, Josh Brolin.
Me. Yeah, Josh Brolin framed me. That's why when you see the original Avengers, Thanos, when you see Thanos in the original Avengers, that little clip at the end, he looks way fatter and his like head's wider. That's why. That was originally me. It was modeled off of my face, you know. And he took that part, he framed me because they were like, who ate the last French toast sticks on set?
Cuts to you with the mop.
No. They went to my car, and he had planted all the craft service breakfast stuff in my car.
Not even well. He had taped them to the ceiling of the car and everything. Just
exactly.
Like,
he just threw it in. No, he didn't even tape it. It was French toast sticks, so it had syrup on it. So he just flipped it in there, and they stuck.
It was just dripping syrup when you got there.
You know, and it was a whole mess. You know, fucking they couldn't deal.
I love this plot line of, hey, I was originally Thanos, but Josh Brolin framed me.
Dude, he's a dirty bastard. That Brolin.
That Brolin.
We're gonna have to, you know, next time I'm out there in California, we're gonna have to trade fisticuffs.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he's waiting for you. Like, he just chills in Beverly Hills, and he just goes, someday, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon.
No. He told me, when we're ready to settle this, we're going to meet behind the In-N-Out Burger in Burbank. He knows the one. He's there every day.
He knows the one.
He's there every day. He's in his leather jacket with his friends.
He knows the one.
You know?
You told him to bring his gauntlets, or are you going to bring your gauntlets?
No, bare knuckle, man. We do this mono bare knuckle.
What if...
Like,
is there not a knuckle gym? You're like, I'm going to give you a real
Knuckle Jim. You don't say that while doing this? Oh, come
now
at
I'm
me,
gonna walk.
Joshy.
I'm
You call
gonna
him
walk up
Joshy.
to him. I'm gonna walk up to him and I'm gonna say, "You have some real infinity stones showing your face up in this town."
You got some real infinity stones showing your face around here. It's time to lay down the gauntlet.
Exactly.
You just keep using puns. He's like, stop that.
Now he's gonna
Stop what? Aren't you going to be an Iron Man or what? And face me.
Yeah. It's going down, dude. It's going down. Jeremy Renner's gonna have my back on this, you know.
You're going to look like you got a Scarlet Witch fever going if you don't cut it out. You're going to have visions of yourself dead.
You're gonna die like Quicksilver in Age of Ultron.
Pointless.
Pointless.
And alone.
Pointless with little character development. But I see.
By the way, if we may, since you brought that up, talk about one of the most boring versions of Quicksilver I think I've ever seen. Like drawing or anything. I've seen you've drawn stuff better on the corner of your notepad while writing down film ideas of Quicksilver than that was. Like better fleshed out characters, not as two-dimensional.
I don't know what you're talking about. He goes through an entire character arc. He joins Ultron, he fights Ultron, and we know nothing about him.
Well,
sunrise, sunset.
The tide goes in, the tides go out. You can't explain that.
Exactly. You can't explain that.
You can't explain it. Okay? Nor do I want to. But just think of that, guys. I've been acting for years, and they wouldn't even take me for that part. They took him. They took
exactly.
the couple who was a couple in Godzilla, who had a movie where they're making out with each other, and then said they're brother and sister in the immediate next movie that they're in.
Yeah, well,
these people are smart marketing people. My marketing degree means shit.
Well, get running. You got to have that runner's bod.
Listen, Alec. If you are Thanos, then I am Quicksilver. Okay.
Listen, David. What if Thanos flew down, ripped the roof off the White House, and smiled at the president?
You subverted my expectations.
That's what I do.
It's like I'm grabbing the water.
Well, fuck you. That's what I say.
I'm like really dehydrated. Hey,
good.
Check that out. Alec Brown is watching.
I dropped it. I'm sorry, Coach. I dropped it. I fucked up everything. Stream is over.
Flips table. Well,
so speaking of not having all the answers, I saw Death Wish.
Yeah. And I think you had briefly mentioned that you actually were surprised that it was okay.
It was okay. Number one, Sway didn't have the answers.
Sway never has the answers. Okay?
You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers, Sway.
No.
Hashtag call out Sway.
Hashtag Shakespeare in the flesh.
I am Shakespeare in the flesh, Walt Disney.
The thing with the new Death Wish, so the older one is still, in my opinion, better. And it goes to the heart of Death Wish, which is, the key difference is, so Bruce Willis, when his wife is killed and his daughter's in a coma, they take time to show Bruce Willis going through every step to try and solve it without going to vigilante justice. Whereas Charles Bronson is just kind of like, fuck this, let's roll. Fuck the police.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Charles Bronson's wife gets raped and murdered, and then he literally does this and opens up a drawer, and there's just a gun in it. And he just goes like, I'm Death Wish.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm kind of like, I kind of miss that. I like the Charles Bronson, like, I'm not even going to bother with the police. I'm just going to go on a rampage.
Yeah, it looks like a John Wick type movie where it's just sort of, I'd say it's a small thing. And your wife getting murdered is not a small thing. But
It's
I'm
a
saying
small thing.
it's a small thing in these movies because that's like the
I've gone
first
through-
5%. And the rest of
I've
it,
gone through 47 wives, you know.
Charles Bronson
I
did.
don't
There were
even
like
think
4
about
death
it.
wishes.
Don't even think about it.
Charles Bronson went through 8 or 9 toupees for Death Wish alone.
Yeah.
So think about that.
Exactly.
You know, what have you done lately?
What have you
Checkmate,
really
atheist.
David, what have you sacrificed for justice?
Well, Alec, in Death Wish 3, I pushed Charles Bronson's girlfriend into traffic. I popped her in that stupid mouth, and then I pushed her into traffic. And then her car cut a car with no people in it in half.
And then you died.
Why was the car driving down the road without a driver? I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's gone. Exploded. We'll
It's
never
Hollywood magic. Hollywood magic. Yeah. So that was kind of the thing. It's like you miss the kind of silliness of the original in the new one. And that's kind of the problem with remaking all these 80s, like, you know, vigilante movies. Is it's like the whole point of them is that they're kind of stupid.
Yeah, they're blatantly stupid. This is like if Seagal movies were done with a competent actor.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much what they are, because most Seagal movies are this loose plot. It's the same thing with, like, Liam Neeson. Every movie he does is the something, and it's, like, the same movie. It's nonstop. The Passenger, The Commuter, you know, Taken 1, 2, and 3. It's all the same premise of, you've got to stop people on this thing, and you don't know who it is. And he's just like, I know exactly who's out there, and exactly what's going down. And if I don't find the bullets, someone else will. You know, like, and it's always the same bullshit. And they literally are like 88 minutes long and then cut. It's done. And what's stupid,
almost like,
yeah, go ahead.
It's like on the dot cut at 88 minutes. It's like whether or not they're done talking. It's like, well, I think credits.
Yeah.
88 minutes, that's it, people.
Speaking of 88 minutes, there was a movie with Al Pacino called 88 Minutes, and it is not 88 minutes long. And
that's fucking stupid.
It is stupid, but there's a line in it that you're supposed to feel like really sad, and I guess it's a little sad, but now I'm so jaded I just find it funny, where he's telling a woman, he goes, 88 minutes. She's like, what's wrong, John, or whatever his name is. And he goes, guy kidnapped my sister when I was younger, like 18 years ago. And he said, I had an hour to get there to save her. It took him 88 minutes to chop my sister to bits. He says, chop my sister to bits. And then does this, he goes, like, yeah, exactly, like, run out of the room. And I'm just like, get the fuck out of here. And I'm like, how long is this movie? 2 hours and 16 minutes? Fuck you guys. You know, like,
it's what you get.
Yeah, and also, I didn't mean 2 hours and 16 minutes. I mean 216 minutes. But whatever.
2 hours and 16 minutes.
Yeah, but you'd think it would at least, at some point in the movie, they would go, you have 88 minutes to get there, or something like that, and say that in the first 30 seconds of the movie, or something.
You'd think a lot of things.
It's like, that'd be like the movie Speed, you know, or Gone in 60 Seconds. It's like, Gone in 60 Seconds, but they are gone in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. You're like, well, then why the fuck do you call it Gone in 60 Seconds? You know, like, fucking asshole, call it Gone in 210 seconds.
I quit Hollywood.
Gone when we are gone, okay?
It's fake. So, speaking of Infinity Wars, how on a scale of 10 to 10, how excited are you being paid by Disney to be?
Well, since the check has not cleared, I'm at the very bottom of 10. But once it clears, I will be at the top of 10.
That doesn't sound like enough check clearing enthusiasm.
Well, I save it for when it happens, okay? Because do you want me to be genuine or do you not? This is a genuine opinion, okay, you guys?
David,
You gotta wait for it genuinely to clear.
David, that's not how Disney works, and you know it.
Listen, Disney gets to play by my rules. Part-time. I don't know how to feel because I'm kind of going through the Red Letter Media thing where I'm sort of having a little bit of superhero fatigue. And I've wanted to see Guardians of the Galaxy 2 just because I didn't want to miss anything for the Infinity War stuff.
Yeah.
Any kind of connection or tie over. And I actually heard that the character stuff was better in the second one, like the characterization of characters.
It is.
And I want to see it for that reason, but I just never get around to it. I literally might have to buy it and just, take that hit just so I can say I've seen it.
Just rent it on YouTube for like $2.
Oh, I could do that?
Yeah.
Okay, I might do that. Now let me ask you, when you rent it on YouTube, are you allowed to only see it for 24 hours or something? Or
It depends on the movie. Sometimes it goes anywhere from 24 hours to like 2-3 days.
Okay, I'm just making sure that you can maybe at least pause it if you have to take a piss or something.
Yeah, no, you can pause it, pick it back up, all that stuff.
Well, that's good at least. But as far as the Infinity stuff or the Infinity Wars, I don't know. I kind of wish that all the other movies leading up to it had been on a smaller scale, to where it wasn't every single movie is fighting for the universe or every single movie is fighting for the planet. Because when you do that, if it's fighting for a city or it's fighting for a small town, then a bigger town, and then it's this section of the planet, and then it's the whole planet, there's increasing stakes. But when it's always fighting for your life, always fighting for the whole world, there's never just a movie where the main character gets to dominate and just dominates the whole time and you enjoy it. It's like Iron Man. That's why Iron Man did such a good job, is that the villain, 90% of the movie, he's just talking. He's only in like a suit for 5 minutes or something.
Yeah, and the suit is really like it's like he's not there to take over the city and stuff. He's mostly just using the suit to kill Tony Stark.
Yeah, it's not I'm going to use the electric whiplash, fucking electric jump ropes to Mickey Rourke Iron Man or something like that for some half-ass plot because you killed my dad or you took his idea or whatever it was. But at least those movies, when you go back and watch them, Iron Man 2 has gotten better for me over the years just because I'm tired of the crazy spectacle of there's so much. And that was the thing with Guardians that I was worried about, is that the first one was great, but I mean, some of those, you get the Man of Steel kind of things where it's just there's so much going on, or the Ready Player One, there's so much going on.
Yeah, your eyes glaze over and you don't even see it anymore.
Yeah, because, I mean, what do you focus on? If it was clear what you were supposed to focus on, or they did a better job of kind of honing in your focus where they go, listen, this is going to be an insane battle, but look for the blue ship that Star-Lord flies.
Yeah.
And that was your job, and the rest of it was just kind of whatever, and you could just pay attention or not, or it's kind of out of focus, fine. But when it's just a clusterfuck in every direction and they're having to cut to cockpit shot after cockpit shot so that you can have a still moment for a second, I think it's unnecessary, it's just overkill.
Well, I'll say this, as far as Guardians, the second Guardians movie is one of the few good ones because, and I'll say this, it really doesn't have any real connection with Infinity Wars.
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually, I think that's actually really good because it's like, it's mostly just about, like, it's a continuation of the characters from the first one. And all in all, it's still kind of small scale.
Mm-hmm. The thing that hurts my head is the fact that Guardians of the Galaxy makes more sense to have the Infinity War story because it's in space. It's not on Earth. It's in this fantastical world where something like Infinity Gems or things that are kind of magical or mystical can happen. The only one that sort of, unfortunately, ties it in is Doctor Strange. But
Yeah.
like Iron Man doesn't belong in something necessarily where it's all magical and all over the place, unless if you acknowledge how fucking weird it is and how he's the fish out of water. But Thor shouldn't be surprised by any of this stuff because they had the gauntlet in their in Asgard.
So in the comic, to bring out that old gem, the Infinity Wars comic, it really is just like Doctor Strange and a character called Adam Warlock. The whole thing is they gather all the superheroes to fight Thanos because it's like, hey, we need you guys to fight Thanos and stall for time.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna go get the big guns, the big immortals and stuff, the cosmic beings and stuff, and they'll get Thanos.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the idea. That's like the plan. It's like we're gonna go. So it's like Adam Warlock and Doctor Strange and Silver Surfer are getting all the cosmic beings because they're the only ones that can fight Thanos. But then ultimately it boils down to someone, just takes the glove off, and that's the end of the story, essentially.
Yeah, and
and honestly, I think what it is, how they're going to do this one is Thanos is not going to get all the gems. I think that's the whole point of it. Is it's going to be like we've got to fight to keep Thanos away from the last gem. And that's going to be the whole 2 movies. Because the Infinity Gauntlet in the movies is going to be far less powerful than the Infinity Gauntlet in the comics.
See, here's the thing. I wish it wasn't, and I wish, that these movies would be okay with it going like, in this movie, everybody dies. Like, Thanos completely wins, and it becomes about him. Because, here's the thing. It's a comic book movie. And similar to Logan, you can completely sidestep the stories you've been telling and do alternate timelines and alternate iterations and versions. It just depends on, what you're up for. But it's like, don't make the movie shittier because Robert Downey Jr. doesn't want to play Iron Man for much longer,
Well, that's kind of the thing, though, is it's like you say it's whatever you're up for, but that's the problem, is Disney is not up for anything. Disney they do not want anyone to mess with the comic book movies because they want those to go. They want to drive that car until the wheels fall off. And that's their plan. It's like, we're just going to keep spitting these things out until no one will go see them.
God.
They're going to do the same with Star Wars. They're going to make Star Wars shit until literally no one wants to watch Star Wars anymore.
I think this Han Solo movie might help in that regard because that is going to tank. The main actor even said it was bad and said it was going to be bad.
I think financially it'll do fine, but I think it's just going to be a forgettable movie. It's going to be like Rogue One, where no one remembers it.
No.
Like, no one cares, no one remembers it.
People have that with Rogue One, but people went back to see Rogue One the same day and multiple times. Han Solo, though, I think domestically it's going to do so bad. I think you're right. It'll make its money back through DVD sales or overseas just because of the Star Wars brand. And if there's one Asian guy in it, then China alone will make its money back. But and they'll make money off the toys and stuff too. And Woody Harrelson's a good name for it. But let's put it that way. Woody Harrelson is your main name in the Han Solo movie, and he's not playing Han Solo.
Yeah.
It's like
he's playing Han Solo's mentor, Han Solo. You know? It's like
Woody
the thing,
Harrelson with hair.
It's like, oh, this is Woody Harrelson, and he's mentoring Han Solo. And it's like, so you mean he's just going to be Woody Harrelson Han Solo? Because then at that point, you might as well have just made a Woody Harrelson Star Wars movie and not called it Han Solo.
Always watch out for yourself, and every smuggler needs a good smuggler's vest.
And shoot first until George Lucas changes it.
Shoot first and dodge right. Shoot first, dodge right.
That's how you dodge bullets.
If someone hasn't put that to What Is Love by Hadaway yet...
They have.
Let's say that needs to be done.
It's been done.
Boom, 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 boom.
God dang it, it's so annoying.
I'm not looking forward to that at all. It's like, I literally told you the moment we heard there was a Han Solo movie coming out and they called it Solo. I mean, I was just like, this is gonna suck so hard. And
yeah,
here's the problem. It's always going to be a problem to do prequel stories again and again and again and again because we know where it goes. We know where they end up. We know Han Solo's going to be alive at the end of it. This particular one, but we also know what happens to him in The Force Awakens. So it's like, what the fuck are you doing, you guys?
Well, and it's also, too, me and Kyle were talking about this, but it's like, Han Solo especially isn't a good prequel because Han Solo is he's in episode 4, he's kind of a bastard. You know? He shoots a guy and throws sorry about the mess, and throws him a coin, like it's the Old West, And then he drives this ship, he makes fun of the Force constantly. He doesn't give a shit that Obi-Wan's dead, and he says when he drops off Leia, originally he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna leave.
But don't worry, in The Force Awakens, here's his great acting. You just go, it's true. All of it. The Force. Everything. Your mother, she also can fly like fucking Mary Poppins whenever she wants. Well, I don't like to talk about your mother. Don't talk bad about her. Go visit your mother, son.
Last week she flew at me and chewed me out.
Last week she was really upset. I didn't talk to her for 35 years.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's like Han Solo in both Episode 4 and The Force Awakens. The whole character arc is Han Solo learns to care. And it's like, so what are you going to do with the prequel? Is he going to learn to care a third time? Is that what we're going to do?
No, he's going to learn to not care in the prequel.
Yeah, but then that's
and then he's going to, no. So it's like a parabola. So it goes. He starts off caring as like a kid, and then his parents leave him, and then he stops caring even more, and then he gets a blaster, and it goes all the way down because now he shoots people. Really doesn't give a fuck. And then when we finally find him, we catch him at that moment, at that bottom moment where he's just blasting and throwing coins at people. And then we slowly come back up where she's like, I love you. And he goes, I know. And then it kind of goes like this for 42 years until we make a new one. And then it's like, he cares again. Like, it's...
Well, see, that's the thing, though. It's like, for the prequel, it's because I refuse to believe that they're going to end the movie with, the main character being an unlikable dick. They're not going to end it that way. They're not going to end it with, they're not going to be like, oh, at the end of the movie, Han Solo shot Woody Harrelson, or told Woody Harrelson to fuck off,
I really do believe that all you're going to get out of that movie is you're going to understand where he's coming from when he does all of his smuggling, and he doesn't always do it for the wrong reason. And then it's going to end just like Rich Evans was saying, where it ends right as he's walking into the canteen and takes a seat. And he's going to be sitting in that iconic kind of position and in that light, and then that thing's going to come and sit down, and then it's just going to go. But that's
the thing. It's like, because this is the problem. This is one of the problems with like Star Wars, is George Lucas, when he made the first one, he just made up words. Like, most of the things characters say don't matter. They don't have a meaning. They don't matter. They're nothing. Like where they talk about like Han Solo dropping his cargo at the first sight of an Imperial,
Yeah, they're just throwaway lines.
Yeah, they're throwaway lines because George Lucas didn't care, and it's one of those things. It's like, you can't build a universe off of the fucks George Lucas did not give,
But that's not how people see things anymore. People see prequels as you have to take the original story and any small backstory that they give and via exposition, you have to make that into the prequel. So people, like you were saying, he just goes, it made the Kessel Run in under 12 parsecs. And now this is going to be a movie that has to do with Kessel Run. And that was a made-up place and a made-up thing. And, the Millennium Falcon, now we have to see it clean. You know what I mean? It's like, are you fucking kidding me? So imagine a movie about that. Imagine the, let me think. What's a good movie for that? That'd be like if the movie Nightcrawler, instead of focusing on Jake Gyllenhaal's character, we're like, but what did that Mustang look like before he bought it?
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, who was driving that Nightcrawler Mustang before Jake Gyllenhaal bought it? That's the good stuff. You're like,
who owned that camera? Who owned that camera? Who were those guys in the van he sees at the beginning of the movie? Who are their? What's their story?
That honestly, it's Rogue like if you took
Nightcrawler story.
It's worse than that. It's if you took Rose from the most recent Star Wars and you made a prequel about her and how she met Finn, and then you shot instead of shooting over Finn's shoulder, seeing Rose discover him, we shoot over her shoulder of her discovering him, and that's the end of her prequel. And then also for Nightcrawler, the homeless guy that he hires, who's like a crackhead who needs the $30, who he murders in the end, we made a prequel about him and what he was up to. How did he become homeless? Let's find out more about that. Let's go in. And, also Sarlacc pit.
Sarlacc, a Star Wars story.
Honestly, that would be a better story, because the whole point of the Sarlacc pit is it makes you ask questions that people have asked, where it's like, does it prolong your suffering and prolong your life as it prolongs your suffering, or does it just feed for 100 years, and how do people escape, and who's fallen down there? That'd be way more interesting than Han Solo, a Star Wars story.
Well, I mean that's kind of the best part. It's like when they were like, we're going to have spin-offs every year, and then it's like Rogue One is this kind of like shit movie, and it's like, we're going to have a Han Solo spin-off, and then maybe other ones, and it's like, nope, you're done. Because just Rogue One itself was just a bad idea.
The fact that you're saying a Star Wars story. Tell you what, make Rogue One, call it something else, change the names of the planets, change the names of the characters. Take all the fan service out. You have your own independent standalone movie that you can coast on for the rest of your career. There's nothing wrong with making a space drama or an action thriller. But you don't have to have a Death Star, and you don't have to have AT-ATs and AT-CTs or whatever the hell they are.
Well, and something else too is because I remember I told you this a while back when Rogue One came out after we saw it. After we saw it, I went and picked up the prequel book to Rogue One. Because it was like, oh, Disney's Star Wars books, they're going to be the new, because Disney's doing the Star Wars books, and they're paying for top writers. And I was just like, this book It's called Catalyst. It's like, this book is such garbage, and it makes Rogue One like less enjoyable, because then you spend all this time with all these characters, and it's like, wow, literally everyone is incompetent, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's like it's about the girl's father. Most of it is about her father working on stuff for the Death Star, you know?
And here's the thing. Rogue One, the best part of it was the father-daughter conversation that he had via hologram. I thought that, I told you, that was my favorite part of that whole movie. And
but
because that actor is amazing. You know, like, he's a great actor. You and I both like him. He's on that he's on that show Hannibal, and he's from Casino Royale, and he was also the villain in Doctor Strange, even though he didn't talk hardly in that. So he's in like a ton of shit, and he's great.
Yeah, but, and then the book, it's literally like the book is like him and his wife, like essentially from the end of the Clone Wars all the way until the beginning of Rogue One, where they show up on that planet. But it's like, that's literally the uninteresting shit. We don't care. I don't need to know the life story of the man who made the battery for the Death Star. Like, I don't care. I don't care about that. I don't need to know who made the power, who like invented the power supply for the Death Laser.
Alec, how do lightsabers work if we don't have a prequel explaining it? That's why I'm making a new movie. It's coming out the summer of 2023, and it's called Lightsabers, a Star Wars story. And now it's going to be filled with all your favorite colors: blue, green, red, maybe even a purple. Maybe there'll be a cameo by Samuel L. Jackson when he's really young. Okay? Played by Jared Carmichael. Hold on a sec. Played by Jared Carmichael, a stand-up comic. Okay? Why? We'll shave his head, and he'll just look like Mace Windu.
Yeah. No.
Bear spray, Windu.
If one of these spin-offs becomes like super successful, Mace Windu, the movie starring Michael B. Jordan, is coming.
Oh my God.
That's coming.
Did Mace Windu ever die?
Yes, the Emperor was like, unlimited.
Oh, that's when he did
power!
I thought that was when he did the spinny thing. Like, it's
the same fight, but this is when Anakin shows up, and then Mace Windu's like, Anakin, help me stop him. He's the traitor. And then Palpatine's like, no, he's the traitor.
You must come to the dark side. Kill all the younglings and eat their brains.
And then he's like, unlimited power! And then he shoots Mace Windu with lightning out a window.
Do you know what happens to a Mace Windu, Alec, when it's struck by lightning?
I don't think it's the same thing that happens to everything else.
The same thing that happens to all the younglings.
They weren't struck by lightning. They were chopped to pieces by Anakin.
You weren't there.
No, it heavily implies.
You're only claiming that because you saw the CCTV footage.
Where was Anakin on 9/11?
And where were those cameras?
That is an excellent question. When it's like, we have footage of him killing younglings, it's like, why wouldn't you delete the camera footage? People do that now when they commit crimes.
Well, the Force, it can only go so far. You can't delete camera footage with it. You have to use the Force to bring the hard drive of the camera out to your hand, and then you have to go to your home computer or smash it. But
or cut it to pieces with the lightsaber that you have.
But then you'll just end the footage, and they'll cut to a scene where the Emperor's like, yes, or Obi-Wan Kenobi is watching from a live monitor, and he's like, I wonder what Anakin's doing with all those younglings. Why do he have his lightsaber on? Is he showing them some moves? Oh, no.
Oh, no. That's not how you use a lightsaber at all.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
I dropped it on the younglings.
First he took a youngling and threw him over there. Then he took another youngling and threw him over there.
Oh, no.
But that's the thing. It's like, you could just delete the footage, and then Obi-Wan would never know, and then your dumb wife wouldn't drive to Volcano Planet. She drove to Volcano Planet.
There's a distance growing between us, and I don't like it.
I don't like it. It's like, get on the ship and leave. You're on Volcano Planet. Why would you bring...
You said that, like, right on the Magic School Bus. Like, get out, kids. You're on Volcano Planet.
Right on the Magic School Bus.
Wow.
Beep, beep. You know, Netflix relaunched Magic School Bus.
Hopefully in live action.
No, it's with Canadian animation levels, which is cheap.
Oh, right on the Magic School Bus, yeah.
Essentially, this is something that I thought it's dumb. It's like, they got a new teacher, so it's not Miss Frizzle anymore.
Oh.
But it's another person that's just a redhead. And it's like, why? Why'd you have to change it? I just wouldn't have bothered.
Yeah, like, why? That's like the whole appeal of the show. Why do people do that? That's like, we're making a show, and guess what? We're remaking. Check it out. Listen up. Here he goes. We're remaking Osmosis Jones. But instead, we're going to make him Cerebral Palsy Patrick. You're like, wait, what?
Well, it's not even that. It's like,
Jones.
It's like, well, it's not even that. It's like we're gonna remake Osmosis Jones. It's like, all right, I'm listening. All right, so the main character is a white blood cell, and he's a cop, and his name is, and it's like
Shut Oh my god.
So then they sit there, and it's like, oh, this sounds a lot like the original. It's like, yeah, it kind of is, but instead we're gonna call him Bob. And it's like, why don't we just call him Osmosis Jones and just relaunch it? No, you don't understand. We're doing a soft reboot, which means we're gonna keep everything the same except change one name.
That made me laugh so hard.
That's what it is. It's like the
Magic
Magic School Bus.
Cell, and he's a cop. That's the way he said it. God, that was such a brilliant pitch. Alec, you could have pitched that, and I think someone would have bought it if you were in the room.
Someone would have bought it, because that's what they did for Magic School Bus. It was like, we're going to make Magic School Bus, but we're not using Miss Frizzle. We're just getting another teacher that's also a redhead and eccentric, but this one's drawn to look a little bit more hotter.
Oh, God.
It really is. It's just like a younger Miss Frizzle.
This one's transgendered.
No, I hope not. I'm just going to pretend it's... I'm not going to watch it, obviously, so I can totally be a thing.
It might. I don't know. We'll be like, well, Miss Frizzle is now Mr. Frizzle.
That could just be like, oh, this is Miss Frizzle's cousin, who's used to be called Daniel Frizzle.
But you can call him Miss Frizzle.
Exactly. It's like... But that's what they did. It's like, oh, it's
also,
Miss
he's
Frizzle.
a cop.
She's just... Also, she's a cop.
He's a white blood cell cop.
But,
wow.
Yeah. No, they do that with lots
Bus.
of... That's kind of the thing. It's like Netflix is like relaunching every TV show from the 90s now.
Yeah.
And
the
it's
moment
like the
they come
Netflix
out with Recess.
version. Oh,
That's coming.
it's
That's definitely
coming.
See, here's the thing. I've been debating if I should probably do similar to what you and Kyle do. I think that's what I am going to do, which is
What?
I don't really watch that much TV, but I need to get Netflix.
Just fuck
Because it's
fuck TV.
well,
Fuck TV and its stupid face.
well, because Netflix, I mean, it already has all the shows that I pretty much. This is like a Netflix ad. It already has like the shows that I want. But I'm not one of those people that I really do hate it when I see people who just flip through Netflix and binge watch just random shit, because I think that just rots your brain. Like when people are like, I'm watching a fishing show, or I'm watching. There's no joke. There's a show on Netflix. I saw it because just saw a retarded person who saw it. And it was a bass fishing show where every week this guy went around the country and just fished for bass. That's a show. You can do anything, kids. No, hold on a second.
Dude,
you can do anything, kids, that you put your mind to. Because do you collect mushrooms? Do you wash your hands too much? Let's make a Netflix show about you, and let's put it on in 720p. Because we need an Australian guy voiceover over it, and some cool animation text that pop up like, boo, fun fact, bass actually like to be pet. And then all of a sudden we have a show.
Dude, Netflix is filled with just like essentially, because like with Red Letter Media, they have the best of the worst, and it's just all like weird stuff from like the 70s and 80s and early 90s. It's like that's back now with Netflix. There's just so much stuff there that's weird, and it's just like you just sit there wondering, like, how is this a thing?
It's because Netflix has a lot of money, and they've made so much money making such a cheap product that they can just throw money at people. And they go, tell you what, we're going to give you $1 million to make a season of a show, and we'll give you $2 million next season. But here's $1 million. And so what the people do is they pocket all the money because they don't know if they'll be a successful show or not, or if it'll get canceled. So they pocket $900,000. They spend $100,000 on it, $10,000 an episode for 10 episodes. And then they make this shit show, whatever it is. Like there's a show that, no joke, Alec, check this. God, can't believe I've seen this.
I was gonna say, I was about to start pitching you some quality Netflix things.
Okay, well, let me tell you about this one, then you can pitch me some.
All right.
This show that I'm talking about is a show devoted to people running away from dogs. Let that sink in. Running away from dogs towards a bag of money. Now, here's
I know which one you're talking about, where it's like they're hunted or some bullshit.
the hunted. And it has like a young black guy host who's all cool and hipster-y, and he's like, man, this time Stacy's gonna do it. And Stacy gets up halfway up the fence, and the whole appeal is these ravenous dogs bite them on the legs and like pull them down, and then people have to like spray them with hoses to get them to stop. And they go, guess Stacy doesn't want money.
Yeah. It's the whole thing is, it's like, hey, remember Fear Factor was a thing once? Let's just whittle it down to being attacked by wolves.
Yeah, and it's like, that's the whole show. It's literally 22-minute episodes of that.
Today on Bear Cage, David goes up against a Kodiak Grizzly. Will David win the $1 million?
Or will the Grizzly
win a David?
That's great. Well, David will. Honestly, I might pay to watch that show. With David,
just lock someone in a cage
David win
with
$1 million,
a bear,
or does the bear win a David? And you have to get the people to sign a form saying the bear might eat you, but you're okay with that for SAG background rate.
So many people do that. It's like there'll be some guy in there that has like one arm and like a peg leg, and it's like, I've done this show 4 times.
I'm a millionaire. But don't worry, with my money, I'm able to buy all my prosthetics at qualityprosthetics.org. Yeah, go for it.
You ready? Okay, so some of these, because Netflix recommends you things for like weird, arbitrary reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously some of it is going to be weird, stupid stuff for kids. But I want to read it anyway.
Go for it.
So the first one on our list is Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc-V. Here's the description. These duels are now harder than ever, but he'll be a great duel-tainer someday, just like his dad. I only read it because of that word, duel-tainer.
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 That's duel-tainer, everybody. Call the suicide hotline at 1-800.
Okay, so here's my theory, because I'm not going to watch this and I'm not going to look it up. But I do know a little bit about that old Japan. So my theory is, Yu-Gi-Oh! As a franchise has made lots of weird decisions to try and make a card game interesting. So the one that I saw once before that I thought was the funniest fucking thing in the universe was they're playing cards and they're also driving motorcycles. Which I was like, that is purely like, that's what someone does when it's like they have a pitch meeting in the morning and they are just throwing wild.
Yeah, here's how that person woke up the day of the pitch. Oh, fuck, I didn't come up with anything.
And then he hears a motorcycle go by in the distance. Motorcycles. They're
Frosted
playing cards
Flakes
on motorcycles. So this one, I'm betting what it is that the kids are essentially playing a card game while also being in a band and or pop stars. That is my theory, and I'm probably right.
I hope you're not for the sake of humanity, but you probably are for the opposite reason.
So there's also a series, a cartoon series, over the classic franchise, Stretch Armstrong.
Nope.
I don't know why Stretch Armstrong was needed to be revived.
Isn't that a toy? Stretch
Yeah,
Armstrong with the blonde guy with the arms that stretch?
Yeah.
God damn it.
So for our next one, we got to go to the documentaries, which has now just become the dump bin.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's see what you got.
Let's see. What do I have? Of course, there's one called The World's Most Extraordinary Homes, and it's just about houses.
That's quality.
That is quality. We needed a show about that.
Well, that whole HGTV crowd is what you're getting.
Pretty much. There's like 1 billion documentaries about food, which, okay, so Super Size Me was like 1 billion years ago. And it's like, okay, who cares? Like, we all know that it's bad for you. Like, we all know fast food's bad for you. How many more documentaries about food are we going to keep churning out until,
Until people stop eating, Alec. And that's why that comes to the point, the next half of the show is why eating is wrong. Go ahead.
Yeah. So now there's a Netflix series about internet pornography and cam girls called Hot Girls Wanted, Turned On.
Hold on. I think I left my razor in the bathroom.
Which, that one, it's like, we're going to do a documentary about cam girls. And I'm like, who gives a shit?
They're like check it out. We'll do a doc about cam girls, and we'll just use all of their cam footage for the whole documentary. Just put narration over it. It's great. And maybe we'll get 1 or 2 interviews. It's easy.
There's all sorts of stuff. There's one called The Birth of Sake. Because you needed to know where sake came from.
You talking about the drink, sake?
Yeah.
That's retarded. That's so dumb. What's the history of this drink? What's the history of beer while I drink it? Just drink it. Sake, just drink it. That's the Nike of booze.
Oh my! Man versus Snake, The Long and Twisted Tale, which is about the guy who got a high score playing an arcade game.
Wow, that's an asshole title for a movie. We talk about misleading. I
It's
thought
an
that was going to be like
arcade
a
game.
Crocodile Dundee type thing, but
It's an arcade game called Nibbler.
I've got a
Well,
bad bite. I got a bad bite here.
And that one comes from the whole, there was a documentary that got made a while back called King of Kong. And it's about the guy who had the world record for the original Donkey Kong arcade game.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing with that one is because I watched King of Kong, and it was like, at the time, I watched it when I was 17. And at the time, it was like, oh, this is a good documentary. But then when you, look up this guy, it's like, oh, wow, he's just some fuck that played an arcade game until he got really good at it. And then he tried to use that fame to sell hot sauce. Because the guy drinks hot sauce, as a drink.
Yeah, well, who would have thought that a guy who's the world champion of King or Donkey Kong would have such problems? Who gets to spend every day in his grandmother's basement playing Donkey Kong and becoming a world champion at it?
Yeah.
What did you do yesterday? Man, I must have thrown 3,000 barrels.
I played some Kong.
I was Konging it up, and I was cracking skulls and cracking barrels. Not only that, guess how many coins I have? Just take a guess.
11.
15,000, you fuck. All right. Who has that many coins? Me. Why I'm a world champion of King Kong.
So here we go. This one's called Shut-ins, Britain's fattest people.
Oh, Jesus. I don't know how I got to be 830 stone, but I did.
So here's Netflix description. She weighs 300 kilos. He takes in 12,000 calories a day. Separate lives, same condition. Both ready for change.
Oh, so just gonna follow two fat people around.
Yeah, it's just two fat people.
What's it like being fat being a man? What's it like being fat being a woman? Both your lives suck. All right, tune in next documentary for a documentary about two skinny people. One weighs 100 pounds, one weighs 90 pounds. What's it like?
That's the thing. It's a documentary about fat people losing weight, and it's like, does it matter?
So you skip to the end to see how much they lost, if they lost any, and then you're done? The retention time on that is going to be very small. Nobody's going to sit through that whole thing.
Yeah. So then there's a documentary called Miss, MISS, space, Representation. And it's stereotypical media images of women are part of our daily landscape.
Oh.
Do they reflect attitudes or create them?
Jesus. Who's that one by? Lena Dunham?
I don't know. But it's from 2011, so I wonder if those people made a sequel called, Hillary Clinton Sucks. There's a documentary, oh, never mind. It's like a concert. I don't know why the fuck it's a documentary, but it's like a concert movie of pentatonics. And it's like, wow.
It's because they have behind-the-scenes interviews right before it.
Here's one called Sex in Comics. Shocking, poignant, titillating, humorous. Whatever the style, sex in the comics shines a light on our deepest taboos. So it's porn comics. I don't think...
The only review for that said, titillating, period. Grow up, you guys. End of quote.
Well, it's like, oh man, all these dirty comics from the 60s. It's like, yeah, they don't make those anymore, right? Or, well, correction, they don't make those here anymore. You just order them from France, and they're just everywhere. By the way, French comics, they're ridiculous. Like that's all they're about. They're just all about sex, like all of them.
Of course they are. That's like French
the
everything.
French.
The fucking French. Yep. One of the ladies at my job is French. She's got a classic French accent, and it's really endearing. It's like, and she literally looks so French that you feel like you're in France, like a French bakery when you're standing in the bakery with her. It's really weird. But she's like, "What would you like? Would you care for some rugula? Would you care for the black and white?" And she's like doing that, and you're like, "Wow, you're like really interesting."
So there's a documentary called Ladies First, and it's about the
opening doors for women.
It's about women. It's about the girl that is the #1 female archer in the world. She's from India, and she shoots a bow and arrow at the Olympics, I guess.
Interesting.
Then there's a documentary about Trevor Noah.
Oh, God, don't even read me that one. I don't care. There's nothing wrong with him. I just don't care. He's not nearly as interesting as people are pretending he is.
Yeah, no, he's I don't think he's even funny, so.
Yeah, I don't really consider him. I'll say this. He makes some okay points when he's doing his show, but that's not why I watch Comedy Central. I don't watch a show to be just sitting like this.
Yeah. It's like, I want to laugh, damn it.
I want to laugh or I want to feel something, but I just feel nothing. Anytime I see a clip of him on Facebook, it's always just like they do these fake behind-the-scenes clips where he's talking to the crowd. He's just like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, but you can like see it says applause at the top on the light, and you're like, come on. Quit trying to make it seem like you're just being cash about your really well-written points. And I'm not dissing the points. I'm just dissing the way that they're trying to come across it, you know?
All right, David, here we go. So we're out of documentaries. I'm going to pitch one to you. This is a new movie that Netflix got hold of. This will sell you. I'm signing up for Netflix today.
Is it Bright 2?
No. It is Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. Here's the description. Everyone says he's lost his step. Everyone says he's lost a step. But they ought to know by now, Captain Jack is a pirate who's always one step ahead.
Too soon. I'm dead inside.
Yep.
Hey, Alec.
Hey, what?
What do you call a rabbi that's really good at fighting?
What?
A master of jiu-jitsu. I thought of that when I was driving past some Jewish people. They had it coming.
Look, there's a Netflix original called Take Your Pills, and it's about the opiate crisis.
Honestly, I would watch it just because it's called Take Your Pills. Half the audience is medicated.
And then there's a Netflix original called The Babysitter.
That's not original.
And his babysitter is a Satan worshiper.
Every time I come home to the babysitter, she's got my baby laying in the center of a pentagram surrounded by 5 candles.
What the fuck?
What the fuck? That's so weird. Put it on Netflix. It's not fake at all. Starring Natalie Portman as the baby. By the way, I saw clips from Annihilation on YouTube. They've been popping up like crazy.
Yeah,
And
I've seen Annihilation.
I know.
So.
That's why I was bringing it up. Is because I saw the bear scene where it like yells in human voice. I don't know if it was just because I saw it, probably not in the theater, but it was just weird. And the part where she sees like the humanoid kind of thing, this shimmer that's mimicking her, that part was just stupid. Like, it looked really cheap. Like, it looked so cheap. It looked like
it does.
when they do the what do they call it? The animatics for movies before they do the actual finished product of the CGI.
Yeah, it looks like a I can't remember the term, but it looks like a insert character.
Yeah, like a clip art. I mean, it's well, you know the thing. You might even know the term for it, where it's like the little person, but it's made of wood, and you can change their position, and it's meant to give you an artistic reference. It looks like that.
Well, it looks like I remember it now. It's a grid model for like animation. Before you put the actual character over, you create a grid model, which is like, the shape with lines like a grid.
Yeah.
And it looks like that. No, Annihilation. So I hated Annihilation. That's kind of thing. Like, I hated the movie. I thought it was junk. And it's one of those things where it's like, its problem just is that, like, it never gets to the point of, like, what it's trying to say about anything.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just kind of sitting there going, like, well, I guess that happened.
So is it sort of just like one of those movies that it's so pretentious in a way that they're like, figure it out, idiot?
No, it's not even pretentious. It's just that it doesn't explain anything. Like,
do you think they're doing that intentionally, or that they just forgot? Like, do you think it's an intentional move because since you don't know anything about this shimmer, that they don't explain anything about it because they can't?
Well, one of the big things I did learn is that it's 3 books. Like, that movie is 3 books.
Do you think it's going to continue? Like, they're going to make more?
No. I mean, like, the story of the movie is actually spread out into, like, 3 books or something. So it's a way longer thing. Like, but no, the problem just boils down to is it's like, so the whole thing is, this is my argument, is the director, the whole idea is he's trying to do high concept sci-fi, where it's a really, really smart. So here's the problem with high concept sci-fi, is with high concept sci-fi, you have to just come out and say what was this all about? Like, you have to be bold by the end and just say, okay, this is what it was, this is what it was about, and this is how it plays,
Yeah, you got to stick with it too.
Yeah, so like a big thing is like Isaac Asimov, who's like one of the big names in science fiction. And he did like I, Robot as one of the famous ones.
Yeah, that one I know.
Yeah, so the whole thing with Isaac Asimov is Isaac Asimov, with all his books, he's not even a very good writer, all things considered. He's kind of a crappy writer, but he commits to what he's trying to say by the end. So, like with iRobot, by the time you get to iRobot, in every short story, it's very, very obvious at the end that he's trying to say robots are awesome. I mean, yeah, jokes aside, but that's literally what it is. It's by the end of every short story, because iRobot is a collection of short stories. And at the end of every single one, the characters almost say, gosh, aren't these robots great? But that's the whole point, is he's like, at the end of it, you're going to know what I think about robots. And that's the whole thing with high concept sci-fi, is it's not about leaving it to questions. A lot of bad people do that. They leave it like as a question.
It should be more answers instead of questions.
Well, it's not even an answer. It's just that, like, by the end of it, you need to know what the writer thought. Like, that's what you need to have at the end, is like, I, the author, think X by the end of this. So it's kind of like, the way to think, so a good one also is like, I know people are going to say this isn't high concept sci-fi, but Jurassic Park. The reason why Jurassic Park is the book at least, is so universally liked is because it explains everything in the pseudoscience that Michael Crichton wrote. It's all explained, his logic path of how this works in this world and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it all comes back to the main point, which is nature can't be contained. You know? It's like it all comes back to that point. And it's very obvious and it's very clear that was the premise, was that all our technology, we can't control, we can't predict nature. That's his whole point. And he spends, that's why Malcolm in the movie just says it. You know? He says it at that dinner table scene where he's like, you want to sell it, you know? It's like, that's the point of the book. That's the whole point of it. And Michael Crichton just lays it out there for you right then and there. And that's one of the things with high concept sci-fi is you can make it really, really interesting food for thought, you know? Mm-hmm. And you can make it really, like, have a lot of questions, you know? But at the end of the day, you, the author, have to tell us what you think.
Yeah.
Like, for example, you know, the Ex Machina. Like, by the end of that, you know what the author thinks about robots.
Yeah.
Because his robot kills everyone and escapes. So it's like, you know what he thinks about robots, and you know what he thinks about the ethics of robots. And you can have all these discussions about whether or not that robot is dangerous, you know. Mm-hmm. But you know at least what the author ends with, like a definitive, here's what I think about X as far as the story is concerned.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the thing, is it's like with Annihilation, you never get that answer of like, what are you trying to say to me about the fact that the alien force, the Shimmer, is doing all this weird stuff and creating these monsters?
Is it saying that is it saying that we fear what we do not understand, or is it there some greater picture here?
Well, like, also a big thing is, like, in the movie at least, they open up the movie with Natalie Portman talking about cancer cells. But it's like, and then cancer comes up again as for one of the characters, but it's like, okay, you keep bringing up cancer. What does cancer have to do with this? That's what I don't understand. Because the big thing is, it's like you can't say, like, oh, well, the Shimmer is cancer. It's like, but it's not, because it's an asteroid that fell from the sky. Like, cancer,
it didn't just come from nothing. It didn't come from the world itself. It was an outside source, and that's not how cancer works.
Yeah.
It's not like you get hit with a rock and now you have cancer wherever the rock hits you.
Exactly. So it's one of those things where it's like, what are you trying to tell me? But then in that scene where because that's the alien that's mimicking her, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, what are you trying to tell me with the fact that it's mimicking her and it's doing all this weird stuff? What does it want?
If it was trying to do something in the sense of the duplication is similar to how cancer duplicates cells and keeps doing it, and just that would be one thing. And even if it was a silly message, like it was just like cancer affects us all, and that was the point. It's sort of like if every single person who went into this place had an evil split, or they just started multiplying, you know what I mean? Just period. They just started multiplying, and then that multiple of them multiplied more and just kept doing it. And every time they walked out of the Shimmer, anytime somebody did come back, the Shimmer grew. And the Shimmer duplicated. Now, that would be interesting. If they went into the Shimmer, and then the Shimmer itself duplicated into another one. because then it would be like the entire thing was a cancer cell duplicating. You know, like not within, but externally, like making so the other Natalie Portman or whatever that it ended up becoming, if that was in a completely different thing, like if all of a sudden she just does this, it would be freaky as fuck to witness too. Is all of a sudden she starts doing this and kind of has this what do you call it? Like not mitosis, but like where it splits, where the cell starts to actually split.
Yeah.
And it starts splitting, and it's like painful, right? You know what I mean? It feels like it's pulling her face off, but it's like her whole body is starting to grow another body out of it. And then as the body separates from her, so does the shimmer, and the shimmer grows everywhere that the other one walks. So if she steps away and the other one goes backwards, then the shimmer starts to grow in that direction. And if it comes this way, it starts to grow this direction. If it comes too close to the edge, it grows a third person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
just anything, but that's kind of the problem. Is it's like the actual director and writer is the same guy. It's like he doesn't like come to any definitive thing with it. He just kind of like, oh, this is just happening and it's unexplainable and the ending's weird and doesn't really like explain what's going on with the ending or if there's going to be a new film.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that is true. I mean, I guess even if you took like a movie like Interstellar, their main point from the author's perspective would be that love transcends time and space.
Yeah.
And Anne Hathaway says that. Now, that's a very loose thing. I think they could have gone with something else. I'm not sure what off the top of my head, but I remember that was the thing that bothered people, and that people sometimes said they didn't like it, was because of that main point at the end. It's like, you know, don't worry, Merv. Love transcends time and space. That's the only thing that really matters. Go get her. Go get Dr. whatever her face is. She's on Mars, or, you know. Just because it's sort of like, then why was this not focused on throughout the entire movie? Because Matthew McConaughey was not established as even liking her. The whole point is that she loved the scientist that was on a different planet.
Yeah.
So then you should have made the movie about her finding him. You see what I mean? Like, why is Matthew McConaughey going for her when Anne Hathaway should have been going for the guy that she loves? Because then if she went into the fifth dimension or whatever that was, and she had that whole story of having to signal away, and then she ended up finding him, or she was rescued, and Matthew McConaughey aged to like 100 years old and had a family and everything, and then he was just like, go out there, you got to go find your love, your life, or whatever. And then she goes and finds the guy, and the end of the movie wasn't her walking up to the screen, but was the guy walking up to the screen as Anne Hathaway runs over to a ship to go fly and find him.
Yeah.
That would have made more sense, for the point being that love transcends time and space.
Yeah.
But I guess what they were trying to do was get you to focus on the daughter, that love brought him back to her. However, they sidestep that, and she goes, I don't even need you. This is the part I didn't like. I don't need you right now. I have my family for that. And I'm like, he's your fucking dad. The whole movie, we've been wanting them to be reunited, and you were heartbroken when you saw that he saw footage of her as a fully grown woman and wasn't there.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he actually is reunited with her, and then she tells him to go. And you're like, what? Like, at first, I was furious the first time I saw it, because I was like, what? Why? Why would you say that to your dad? He literally found you after, like, 85 years or something like that.
Yeah.
He hasn't aged a day, and you have zero questions? You just want to die in peace without him? It's like, what?
Yeah. But at least
that part hurt my head.
Yeah, but at least at the end of that movie, they still try and end with the, like, love transcends time and space.
They still try to. I wish they had tried to establish that there was a relationship that Matthew wanted with her, because then it literally would be like star-crossed lovers, like that phrase, because you would have to cross the galaxy to pursue your love. Like, that's how much it literally transcends time and space, because you have to find her in a different time and a different part of space. You know, so taking something very literal from something very philosophical, you know, like you literally have to transcend time and space to love this person, you know? But that's the problem with Annihilation, is it doesn't even try, like, as much as, you know, something like Interstellar. Yeah. Sorry, I'm wiping hair off my bed. How dare you interrupt our noble live stream for your bullshititude. Hey, you're fucking looking at artwork while we're on this live stream, you dick. I'm looking at posters. For what? For movies. Just random movies? Yeah, IMDb was like, here's the latest posters. And I was looking to see, like, what got announced. And they released, like, the teaser poster for Shazam! Oh, God. DC's Shazam! By the way, speaking of posters, have you thought about that thing that I was talking to you about making a poster? Yeah. Yeah. If you're not interested in doing it, you don't have to do it. I'll probably do it. I know it's time consuming, so. Yeah. No, I'll probably do it. I'll work it into my busy schedule, you know. Yeah, because I have your, I should bring them, like, I think the next one, I'll bring it into my room and I'll show people the poster you made. I need to post it on my Instagram. I need to find a way to take a picture of it that doesn't have any glare. So I just need to take a picture of it when it's, like, shady, and then just snap a photo of it, post it. Tag your bitch ass in it. You need to do a lot of things in life, but you don't. Yeah, that's true. Thanks, Dad. You know, I'm just trying to make you proud. Well, you ain't. They say that if you win this tournament, they say if you win this tournament, you get no money. What does that prove? What kind of work is that? Greatest game ever played. Francis Ouimet talking with his dad. For all you golf fans out there, there was a great part of The Walking Dead that you would have, I think, dug. In this recent season, in the recent episode, Rick Grimes and Morgan, the guy from the first season, the black guy, they get kind of captured by some of the saviors, some of Negan's men. And they sort of say, like, Rick says, listen, if you let me go, I give you my word, I'll bring you back to the hilltop and we'll, like, bring you back to the community and give you a chance if you let us go. But if you try to do anything and we get out of this somehow, you're gone. You know, you're dead. One of them wants to do it. The main guy wants to do it. The main savior that we all want dead of this particular group. The other guys say, fuck you. A herd comes in, because Morgan starts yelling loud enough for the herd to hear them. Herd of walkers, so a bunch of zombies come in. And the main bad guy's about to shoot them both. Then one of the other saviors on the bad guy's side stops them. They get into a brawl. They end up pushing the guy who was going to kill Rick and Morgan away. They cut Rick and Morgan loose. They give them guns, and they start gunning down the walkers and stuff together. And one walker almost bites Rick on the neck, and the guy shoots it dead, shoots the zombie dead. Rick kind of checks his gun. Morgan has his gun and a stick to fight off some of the zombies. And he goes like, almost out, go ahead. And so he steps behind these saviors, and they go and they shoot some of these zombies. But here's the best part. Is Rick just kind of looks at Morgan, and he pulls out his hatchet. He pulls out his hatchet, and he just axes the dude in the fucking neck, like just right there. It's so great.
Yeah.
It's such a great neck chop, and then they shoot the other guys. And at the very end, Rick kind of comes up with his hair all matted in front of his face, and this guy's like, we could have lived together afterwards, because you said, and then Rick just goes, I lied. And then he just pulls the gun and goes, poof, and just shoots him. I'm like, I love it. I love seeing crazy Rick. I love it.
Just ready for you're ready for the end?
Yeah, I want to, there's 2 episodes left in this 8th season, and we've seen some flash forwards of what might happen to Rick. We don't know exactly how it comes about, but we've seen him wounded sitting up against a tree. And he's got really red eyes, and he looks sick, like he's dying. People were saying, oh, he's crying. I'm like, he's cried plenty of times. Like, the whole area around his eyes is red. Like, he looks like he's on meth, you know what I mean? Like, he's out of it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of speculation as to what's going to happen with him. But people this whole season have been shitting a brick because Carl, they finally killed the kid off.
Yeah.
And it's like, why do you care so fucking much? You hated him all the way up until he died. And then when he died, you're like, I can't believe you fucked up the story so much. And I'm like, well, the story would have been fucked up anyway because you hated the actor, the portrayal of the character. So why do you care?
It's like the story was fucked up fucking, seasons ago.
Yeah, it's like this kid in the comic book is supposed to be like 9 or 10 years old, loses an eye, and then starts slicking his hair back and rocking his eye socket. So it's just like all fucked up like this. And he's like freaky and badass. And like there's even a scene where a girl licks his eye socket in a sex scene. Like, that's part of the Walking Dead comic book. As she's like, can I touch it? And he goes, sure. And then it shows her tonguing it, basically. It's really fucked up. But the whole point is supposed to be that she's into how badass and how fucked up he is.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you should have been doing fucked up shit like that. Because nobody would stop talking about that on the show. Hey, remember that scene when Lydia tongued the kid's eyeball? You're like, what? You're like, it sounds
like, I gotta
gross.
watch this show.
Honestly, people would have that reaction, and you know it's true, because people would go...
Oh, absolutely.
People want to see the fucked up stuff. People want to see someone die fucked up, you know?
That's what Game of Thrones just, went into, was let's kill people in ridiculous ways.
Yeah.
And get people to watch this show.
And, yeah, your favorite characters dying in horrific ways, because we give 0 fucks.
Yeah.
And... I'm not saying that I agree that the comic book, if you were just going off the source material, people are right. They fucked up. They killed a character that was supposed to be leading the story into the future. But they can replace it, or they could just write something original. How about you write something original with the characters you already have established?
That sounds awful.
Yeah, how awful is that? People used to do that, I don't know, for every fucking show ever.
That's what losers do.
It's like the Game of Thrones thing. We ran out of story, so we're just not going to kill any characters because we don't know what George R. R. Martin has in store.
Well, it's not even that. It's we're not going to kill characters because it's X amount of people's favorite.
Yeah, if you kill Littlefinger, we riot. If you kill John, we riot. If you kill Danny, we riot. It's like, fuck off. Just
kill them all.
Yeah, I want to see fucked up stuff happen. Like, it's the best part of movies, like John Wick. The main bad guy that he's chasing in the first one is that kid, and when he finds him, he just shoots him right in the face.
Yeah.
Shoots him in the gut and in the head, and he just walks away like it's nothing. But the good part about it is that there was still somebody else left for him to get, his dad.
Yeah.
So you kill the person when it's appropriate to kill them. If there's no way out, don't give them some sort of, what is it called? Something Ex Machina. Deus Ex Machina. Yeah, don't have the wrath of God comes in and saves him, or a lightning bolt strikes the walker 2 inches from his face, or, somehow a helicopter just appears out of nowhere and,
pulls them up out of the situation. Like,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of that. There's a lot of copping out because they're afraid to do stuff with characters for fear that people will stop watching. And it's like, well, I know that they said there's a lot of reasons why they wanted to get rid of him. They're like, well, he just turned 18. We don't want to pay him more, which is fucked up. And they're like, well, tell you what, we'll pay him more for this season, but we'll also kill him off.
That's pretty much what I think.
That's exactly what it is. I mean,
yeah, well, that's why I argue that's really why they killed him off. Was just solely, we don't want to. He's 18. We have to honor a bunch of like agreements and SAG stuff and fucking pay him more. And there's going to be lots of disputes with his agents and unions. So we'll just kill him right now and save all the trouble.
yeah, it's like, we'll give him a great syndication deal. I guarantee you that was part of it. They're like, we're going to kill him off. We're going to give him a decent send-off check, but then we're going to make sure he has a good syndication deal. So when they play The Walking Dead, the first 100 episodes or whatever that he's in, he'll get some great checks. He'll have plenty of money.
Yeah.
They're like, so he should be happy. You got plenty of money. You got all the money in the world.
It's like he gets plenty of money, but it's less than what we would have to pay him per episode.
Yeah, so it's sort of like, okay, over the next 5 years, do we want to spend $3 million in residuals, or do we want to spend $6 million to keep him on?
Yeah, when it's like, just kill him off, get rid of him. No one likes him that much anyway.
Yeah, and honestly, the thing that's frustrating for me is that they didn't make him more interesting as he went on. It's like they should have aged him up, maybe give him some facial hair, like something to change him to where it's like, or if they had a time skip, recast him during the time skip of a kid who looks fairly similar but is a little bit older and better at acting and, can carry it more. Because I hated the fact that he was kind of a brat kid that everybody disliked. And in seasons 3 and 4, he actually started doing some interesting stuff. 5 and 6, he was barely in it. Season 7, he had some of the worst acting I've seen on the show. Like, worst writing for him, worst acting, terrible character development, very forced. And in this season, it's like he had more screen time and stuff. And literally his last episode before he dies is his best one, as far as his acting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's terrible. I think that's awful. Because it's like,
yeah.
I'm not so gullible to where I can go, oh, well, at least you got to act really good at the very end. It's like, so we just had seasons of bad acting, build up for nothing?
Yeah.
It's like, because if he went on to stay on the show for another 5 years and grew like a beard and kind of got more fucked up and jaded looking and, became a really solid actor, then you would forgive the first 8 because you're like, well, he was a kid and he was growing up on the show. But eventually, as he learned and went to college and stuff, he got better and got really good. But right now, they should have cast Carl, should have been that kid from Stranger Things who was in the It movie, that one who kept cracking jokes saying fuck and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That kid would have been perfect. He has that bowl haircut, he gets shot in the eye, and then after that, they just slick his hair back and he looks like a crazy fucked up kid, and you're like, whoa. Like,
yeah, it's just, I think they were probably just like, hey, to hell with the hassle.
Yeah.
Fire him.
And it's whatever, you gotta, get rid of people at some point. People can't stay alive forever on the show where people are supposed to die.
Yeah.
But it's also, I just wish they would go about things a little bit better to where there was more satisfaction in the death. Because he had a good last couple of episodes. I'll give him that. He did solid for him. But, it's like I'm trying to think, what's a good Game of Thrones comparison? What's a character that we hate on Game of Thrones?
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about, like, poorly executed character death, Littlefinger.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. Littlefinger is a character that was a wordsmith, a con artist, a confidence man, whatever you wanted to say, and he had, whispered in everybody's ear, and everybody thought he was building to, like, he's going to sit on the Iron Throne somehow, even if only briefly. But he's going to do it.
he gets tricked by two young girls and then dies, unceremoniously.
Yeah, he gets cut in the throat, and the last lines that he has is just, it's completely out of character.
Yeah.
Was like, I've loved your mother ever since I was a boy. Like all that.
Yeah, well,
it's
like, oh, you did all these things, and it's like, rather than the Littlefinger that we've been led to believe would say, like, fuck you, I'm a Lord of the Vale. I definitely don't have to sit here and be, judged. Send me to prison.
Yeah.
It's like, send me to prison if you want to. Send me to the Watch. I'm a lord. I have that right.
Well, but also, it makes him then look stupid when you look back on things, because then you go, when he killed Lysa Arryn, he could have kept her alive, and then if he came into the same predicament, he could have just been like, my wife, demands a moment to speak with me, or, my wife will be here to defend me on my behalf. Or somebody would have come to his aid that he paid.
Well, it's also, too, where it's like, oh, he killed Lysa Arryn, and I watched. It's like, well, why are these other guys going, well, Sansa Stark, you watched him kill her, why didn't you say anything then?
Well, yeah, it's like, you lied for Littlefinger, so you're a conspirator in this as well.
Yeah. It's like, why
should we trust you, then? Because you're saying it now? So you're wanting us to kill the guy who you witnessed do all these crimes years later after they happened. And you've let this guy connive his way around here, walk free amongst us. This murderer, this liar, this murderer, this thief, and you knew us all the time.
Wasn't also the whole point that Robin Arryn liked Littlefinger more than the Lords of the Vale? That whole scene where the Lord of the Vale's like, we're not going to war, and he's like, oh, Littlefinger says we are, so we are, and if you don't like it, I'll have you executed. Like, that happens, and it's like, yeah, so there's no reason why Littlefinger that we've had previously would not just say, you can't prove any of this, Yeah,
he should just go, this is hearsay, Call Varys. He will defend me, or something like that. And then you can have a cool scene where maybe Varys has to be in communication in order to prove his innocence or guilt. And then it's like Varys gets the last drop because he was warning people in season 1 that Littlefinger is one of the most dangerous people in the entire realm. Then it all comes full circle. Okay? But to end it, like you said, so unceremoniously, his last words would be out of character, and to get slit in the throat and killed like that. You know what they should have done? Oh, man. You're going to think the exact same thing. What was the first fight that we even hear about Littlefinger having in the past was him fighting for Catelyn Stark and getting cut from navel to collarbone by Ned's brother, right?
Yeah.
Now, why couldn't it have been Arya fights Littlefinger or something like that, and then we actually get to see him fight? You know what I mean? Because he's had to fight before to stay alive, and then was pitied. But the whole point is that instead of her pitying him, there was some kind of poetic justice that Arya gets to kill him with the needle, like through the neck or something like that, in a battle trial by combat.
To be fair, I have tons of problems with Arya too, in the fact that it's like, ignoring the fact that I am a huge nerd and I'm like, well, Arya wouldn't be able to ever block anything with needles, so that whole sparring session would have ended awfully fast.
Sure.
But the whole thing is, it's like Arya became like, it's like she left the Faceless Men and became Terminator and just survived everything. But then also, it's like she gets back to Winterfell, and now she's like this ultra badass girl, and I'm like, why? She was with the Faceless Men for like a couple months. She didn't do anything besides, get beat with sticks.
Yeah, they never explain what her abilities are, because Jack and Hagar says that it's a shame that girl had many gifts, and it's like, explain what they are.
Well, see, and this is one of the things where it's like, as far as the book goes, the point really seems to be that they wanted Arya because she has, because she's a warg like Jon.
That would be interesting.
In the book, that's kind of like a whole thing. It's like, in the book, when the faceless men in the book aren't like the show. Because in the book, the only one who can change their face is Jake and Hagar. All the other faceless men use like traditional spying methods.
See,
like makeup or
that would have been brilliant,
potions.
Alec. What you just said is that is Arya's gift as a faceless man, was that they train her to do all this stuff, and then she's in disguise, right, as these people, and then maybe somebody does this. Somebody, like, kills the person because she says something wrong, right? She fucks up. Like, she messes up in her backstory. She gets the question wrong because she wasn't trained well enough. And then it cuts to her, and she's just in a room like this, and her eyes are just white. And she was warging the person.
Yeah, well, anything like that. Well, that's kind of thing. Like, in the book, Arya's training as the Faceless Men is like, it's more like long-term undercover training.
Yeah.
So, like, the first time they do it is they blind her, and she has to be blind. Now, the point, though, is in the book, they tell her, like, oh, you're blind and your face is all fucked up. You look like a leper,
Mm-hmm.
You're like all gross and you're diseased looking. Now, she's blind. She doesn't know if that's what she looks like, and there's reason to believe she probably didn't look anything like it, but it's that kind of like, well, tell her she looks like it so that she can get into character, so she can learn how to get into character.
Yeah,
And that's kind of the idea. And then the second time, she's sent out and she's like pretends to sell, like in the show, she's selling oysters.
Oyster clams and cuckles.
Yeah. And the point of that one, though, is that she's doing that for like a long time. She's like living with a family, Like she's been like adopted by a family and stuff.
And they have no idea?
Well, they just think she's Cat of the Canals. They don't know who she is or that she's training with the Faceless Men. But that's the kind of the point. It's like you're going to live with these people, and it's teaching you to be undercover 24/7.
Yeah.
Really what it is they're just training her in acting, But the idea is like she notices when she is in the House of Black and White that all the other Faceless Men, like their changing stuff is nothing like Jake and Hagar. Like one guy uses a potion, which is, a glamour.
Yeah.
Which is like a potion that makes you like an illusion,
Mm-hmm.
makes you kind of look like something. But, for example, Syrio Farrell, this is one of the things, it's like Syrio Farrell is the first sword for the Sea Lord of Braavos. And that's because Syrio Farrell talks about, like, the trial of the cat. And the point is Syrio Farrell can see through glamours. Like, he can see through the illusion. And that's why he was like the Sea Lord of Braavos' bodyguard, Because he could see any assassin coming a mile away because he could see through their potions. But that's why Jake and Hagar is like the best of the Faceless Men, is because he doesn't have to use potions. He just puts on the face.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing to see through. It's like you're just seeing reality that is the fake face. And that's kind of like it's implied that that's why they want Arya, because for whatever reason, they don't explain this, but the implication kind of is that Arya has magic powers, which could mean that she could also wear faces.
Gotcha.
Because that's why, like, Jake and Hagar spends like all this time and effort making sure, she gets to Braavos.
Yeah.
Because it's like he kind of recognizes, oh, she's got powers like I got powers, so she could take my place, you know?
Interesting. How
And it's
old
that kind of...
is he supposed to be? Really old, Jack and Nagar? Is that also
No one
his
knows.
really
No one
base?
knows.
Like,
That's kind of the thing with Jack and Nagar is the point is she doesn't know a damn thing about him. He could be, 1,000 years old for all she knows.
oh man, there's no one.
But that's one of the big things with, like, the book of Game of Thrones is one of the key points is, like, magic isn't good in Game of Thrones. That's, like, a constant theme. Is magic's actually kind of evil, and it's almost always used for, like, very malevolent or destructive purposes. So that's why, like, people care about, that's why, like, for example, all the wildlings care about Jon and Ghost, And the same with the Night Watch, the Night's Watch. This is why they let Jon have Ghost, like, at the fort.
Yeah.
It's because early on, Jon explains he had a wolf dream where he dreamed about being a wolf. And one of the rangers instantly goes, "You're a warg. You're a warg. You're seeing through the wolf's eyes."
Yeah.
And then instantly the question of Ghost is never brought up because it's like, we want the wildlings have magic people on their side. We want a magic person on our side that can use Ghost to scout.
They could have done so much more with Ghost.
Oh, they could have. Ghost is way more important in the books.
I'm sure. Like, how could he not be? It seemed like they were going for that, but then they just kind of abruptly chose, like, we have to pick one or the other for budgetary reasons. And
yeah, well, and that's the thing, too, is, like, Daenerys is awful in the show. I know, I'm a Daenerys hater.
Yeah,
but
Alec does not like Daenerys Targaryen at all.
I genuinely hold to this thing of just, like, Daenerys it's, like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work the way the show wants her to work. It's like they want Daenerys to be like, oh, she's the anointed figure, her and Jon are gonna make love and have magic babies and everything's gonna be okay. But it's like in the book, it's just so, like, with that whole idea of magic is not good. It's like doubly so with the dragons. It's like the dragons are not good. They're not a good thing. They're not a good force. They're not helpful. They're not productive. Really, all they do is terrorize people, and the second the dragons are gone, revolt happens. Because George R. R. Martin, being a guy, being as old as from the generation he is, the dragons are his commentary on nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they are. They're George R. R. Martin's indictment of nuclear weapons in the Cold War. And that's the whole point of them in the book the whole time, is that the dragons are weapons of mass destruction, and Daenerys is a really stupid 15-year-old girl who, and the book is not even sure whether or not anyone can be responsible with them.
And keep in mind, people, this is Alec's view of Daenerys through the book. On the TV show, his tolerance for her is even lower.
Yeah.
Even lower.
Well, and say this is the thing, like, in the book, I'm forgiving, because in the book, she's, like, annoying.
But she's a kid.
Yeah, she's a kid, so it's not actually that crazy, because in the book, all the young people do stupid stuff.
Yeah.
It's like one of the things, it's like, all the young kids that are being forced into leadership roles are constantly fucking up,
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of one of the big things is, like, all the old men in the story, including Littlefinger, because Littlefinger's, I mean, in the book, he's, like, pushing 40,
It's about what he is, I think, in the show, or what he was.
Well, actually, I'm not being fair. Technically, in the book, everyone is, like, a decade younger. But this is medieval times, so people die 20, 30 years. They have, like, a 20 years shorter lifespan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's kind of the thing. It's like Littlefinger is considered, like, old. He's at the start of being an old man. Same with Varys. Like, both of them are, like, the beginnings of being old men. And that's why they're such power players, But all the young people are very foolhardy and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Daenerys is the most foolhardy.
Oh, man.
Fuck dragons.
Fuck Daenerys.
Well, David, sir, it's getting about that time. I gotta jump off.
Okay, what time is it there? I can't see.
It's all 7 o'clock.
So how long have we been going for?
About 2 hours.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I probably need to go and walk the dog. Because of the medication that he's on, he hasn't been going to the bathroom. So I've walked him like 3.5 miles a day, and he still isn't gone. So hopefully this time it'll be a charm. Otherwise, accidents are prone to happen. So
He's just got explosive diarrhea all over the street.
I'm just going to punch him. He's just going to go, oh, and then just, oh.
It's going to be like one of those air cannons.
You know, speaking of explosive diarrhea, I was doing a live stream like a few days ago, and I was in the middle of talking. And no joke, I don't know if you can tell, but in the last couple of minutes of it, if you go back and watch it, you can see me squirming, and then all of a sudden I just go, I have to go. And I ended it, and I'm not even kidding, dude. I had to speed home. I was going to my work to get my check. I had to speed back home. Oh, is that Kyle?
Mm-hmm. I think so. Kyle? Oh, yeah, it's him.
Let him do his cameo.
Wrapping up.
Have him do it. Let's do a Kyle cameo. You might have to unplug your headphones so that you...
Yep. Okay. Hey, what's up, dude?
Hey, what's up, Kyle?
Yeah, I've been meaning to hit you back up, dude. How are you doing?
Doing good. I was talking about how we were proud of you and your promotion at...
yeah, finally.
Finally, yeah.
Yeah.
Facebook just asked... Facebook just asked if I wanted to tag you in the video. So that's how good the face recognition is. He's on for 10 seconds. And it's thanks NSA. Thanks, Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, Kyle, we'll need to have to, the next time we do this, we'll have to get you on, you and Alec.
Yeah, definitely, dude. Yeah, we'll get, I'll do one of the stream, as you guys are doing streaming.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we've been doing it for like 2 hours or something like that, so.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm down. I'm going to be a little hectic for a couple weeks, but then it's going to be my schedule's going to be pretty rad, so.
Sweet.
No, well, because I get to make it.
Sweet.
Okay.
But, yeah, I was telling Alec, I'm trying to catch you up briefly, as Drama had a surgery on his right ear yesterday.
Oh, how's he doing?
He's doing fine. He's got the cone of shame going right now, and so he keeps running into things. And
that poor dog.
It would, if he wasn't in pain, it would be hilarious. But because I have to try not to laugh because it's so stupid. He sees a squirrel and he bends down to smell the ground, and the cone gets stuck, and so he's just like, God damn it. He just looks, he's like, son of a bitch.
Oh, God.
Trying to get his head up. I'm just like, he looks like a baby that can't hold his own head up. It's pretty sad, but he has to have it for 2 weeks, too, so we're only a day and a half into it.
Well, he'll be happy later, for sure.
Yeah, and his blood work came back, and he's fine otherwise, so that's good. It literally, dude, it cost me $1,500.
Fuck.
Yeah,
Jeez.
Right? I told Alec, that's like me getting a bullet removed, the same price.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And that's probably cheap for here, for all I know.
Yeah.
But
there's probably prestigious animal doctors, animal doctors of the stars.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal takes his chihuahua here. Would you like to...
Yeah. It's like Dr. Drew. Just I hear your dog's addicted to crack.
Just like,
listen, dog.
Have you ever told your dog how you feel?
All right, I'm gonna go get ready before we gotta go. But yeah, it's good talking to you, dude. I'll get with you on pretty soon.
All right, perfect. I'll see you, buddy.
Yeah, see you.
Yep. Well, I love you guys, and I miss you, and I will talk to you soon, as I always do.
Yep. I'll give you an update on Death of Stalin, and we'll see how it went.
Death of Stalin?
Yeah, that's what we're going to go see.
Oh, is that like a movie that's coming out? Like, I haven't even seen an ad for it.
Yeah, it's a comedy movie. I think it's like there really wasn't an ad campaign for it.
That's really weird. Is it at the Regal?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And you're going with your dad?
It's going to be like a limited release.
That might be why. Maybe that's why I haven't seen it. Then again, I haven't been out or had the TV yet.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's been out for like months. It took like months for it to get here.
Which I would be willing to bet you what it is that it came out in LA like around the time you were moving there.
Yeah.
And then by the time you're set up, it's gone.
That's probably true. Like every day they have a new poster up of a different movie, and you're like, "What's that from?" And they're like, "Oh, it's on Netflix for a week." You're like, "Okay."
Exactly. Well, man, we'll have to do this again.
Yeah, we will. We'll talk about another time to do it, and we'll try to get Kyle on the next one. And all right, but let me just sign off really fast. Thank you, everybody. If you watch this entire video, you're a champ, and you're probably one of 3 people, not counting us. And this is my best friend, Alec. That was my other best friend, Kyle, his brother in there. I'm David Grayson. This has been The Walking David, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.